Hi everyone! Today I want to talk to you about the Enneagram, and more specifically about Enneagram Triads. There are multiple ways in which types can be classified in the Enneagram, and I've talked about this a few times in different videos, but today I want to do a summary of some of the most common ways to look at the Enneagram. You will probably know some of them and some of them might be new, but I really want to put all of these ideas together so we get the full picture. So all about that in the next few minutes. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's dive in. So, Enneagram Triads. The Enneagram of personality comprises of 9 different types that people talk about in most cases. When we think about 9 and then we think about the idea of triads, so something related to the number 3, we can deduce that triads are groups of 3. And because there are 9 types in the Enneagram, we have 3 groups of 3. Now, how can we make this actual classification? How can we actually think about it? First of all, the most common way used to classify the Enneagram types is known as the intelligence centers. So here we have 3 main intelligence centers: the head or the mind or the thinking center, the heart or the feeling center, and then the gut or the instinctive center. This is the most well-known way to put the 9 types into 3 groups. And for the head or the thinking center, we have types 5, 6, and 7. For the heart or the feeling center, we have types 2, 3, and 4. And for the gut or the instinctive center, we have types 8, 9, and 1. Very briefly and in very simple terms, the thinking center refers to types that focus on creating safety and stability because they want to avoid fear. They want to avoid being anxious. And each of them has a special strategy to deal with that. The feeling center or the heart center focuses on avoiding shame as an emotion. And instead of doing that, instead of dealing with their shame, the focus is on creating a certain identity so that they get love and appreciation from other people. And then the gut or the instinctive center, types 8, 9, and 1, focuses on bringing autonomy or independence in their lives because they really want to avoid feelings of anger or rage. Now, a different way to look at types is looking at how types deal with emotions. So here we have, again, 3 different ways to look at that. We have the positive outlook types, which are types 2, 7, and 9. Then we have the reactive types, types 4, 6, and 8. And then we have the competency-focused types, types 1, 3, and 5. What does this mean? Again, very briefly and in very simple terms, the positive outlook types tend to have a focus on positive emotions. Whether it's their own emotions of that or other people, the focus is on trying to stay optimistic, trying to stay positive, which in turn can also lead to a tendency to avoid dealing with negative emotions until it is too late. The reactive types, 4, 6, and 8, tend to have strong emotional reactions to things, whether they are positive or negative, and they tend to expect a very similar approach from other people as well. Especially if they consider those people to be someone close to them, they kind of want those people to be on their side. If I'm unhappy about something, you should be unhappy with me out of solidarity. Okay, and then the competency-focused types, 1, 3, and 5, they have the strongest tendency to try to take emotions out of the picture and to focus instead on competency, on logic, on objective things, especially when it comes to conflicts or problems. It's not that they don't feel their feelings, but they care less about that when it comes to conflicts and problems and so on and so forth. They are the ones who tend to be the most detached out of all of them. Now, moving to a different type of category, we also have a classification that refers to how people deal with teamwork, how people deal and interact with others as well. So first of all, we have the assertive types. These are types 3, 7, and 8. The next one is the withdrawn group or the withdrawn triad. Here we have types 4, 5, and 9. And lastly, we have the compliant group, types 1, 2, and 6. So what does this mean? The assertive types, 3, 7, and 8, they are the most likely to enjoy taking control of a situation. They tend to be the most socially extroverted and the ones who really enjoy kind of pushing boundaries, making things happen, working hard and playing hard at the same time, and the most likely to be perceived as dominant in their approach. For the withdrawn types, 4, 5, and 9, They are usually considered to be the most introverted socially out of all the types, and they are the ones who tend to be the most withdrawn out of all of them, the ones who enjoy being on their own the most. They don't really like being a leader or a follower, just rather to do their own thing. And they do have a tendency to kind of find refuge in their own imagination and their own minds, more so than the other types. And lastly, the compliant types, 1, 2, and 6, are the types who have the strongest tendency to comply with other people's requests. They have the strongest tendency to make sacrifices for others, to prioritize helping other people, to prioritize, carrying out their duties and responsibilities. So they tend to be a little bit more submissive than the other types. Okay, and the last type of classification, or the last type of triad, is what we know as object relations. Again, here we have 3 different groups. The first one is known as the rejection group. And here we have types 2, 5, and 8. The next one is the frustration group, types 1, 4, and 7. And the last one is the attachment group, types 3, 6, and 9. So what about these triads? The rejection group, so 2, 5, and 8, are the types who are the most likely to struggle with the idea of rejection, in the sense that they believe, or they have a fear, that other people will reject them. So out of all of the types, they tend to have the strongest fear that people would not love them for who they are, and in turn they self-sabotage by rejecting themselves. The attachment group, so types 3, 6, and 9, are the ones who tend to focus the most on attachment-related problems. They are the ones who tend to get the most attached, either to people, to situations, to projects, to results, to external expectations, and they are the ones who struggle the most with letting go of those attachments to external things. And then the frustration types, 1, 4, and 7, are the types who have a tendency to know what they want and to get there, but then to be frustrated again and to feel like, okay, this is not enough, I need to move on to the next level. And this feeling of frustration kind of perpetuates and makes them struggle a bit with being grateful for the present moment, of course, if they don't work on themselves. Okay, so these are the 4 different ways in which we can classify the Enneagram types. There are some more, but these tend to be the most common ways to look at types. Now, the reason why I really like these is because when someone struggles with understanding what their Enneagram type might be, looking at these types of triads beyond, the core fear and the core motivation and the path of integration and disintegration and all those kinds of things, the triads can really help a person to differentiate between the nuances or the subtleties between different types. Because if you think about the system, every type has a completely unique blend of these types of triads. There are no 2 types that have exactly the same triads, meaning that this can really help you to better understand the differences between the types. So let's take each of them. Type 1, known as the reformer or the perfectionist, is a gut type, a competency-focused type, a compliant type, and a frustration type. Type 2, the helper or the giver, is a heart type, is a compliant type, a positive outlook type, and a rejection type. Type 3 is a heart type, a competency-focused type, an assertive type, and an attachment type. Type 4 is a heart type, is a reactive type, is a withdrawn type, and a frustration type. Type 5 is a thinking or a head type, is also a competency-focused type, is a withdrawn type, and a rejection type. Type 6, the loyalist, is a head or thinking type, a reactive type, a compliant one, and an attachment one. Type 7, the enthusiast, is a head or thinking type, an assertive type, a positive outlook type, and a frustration type. Type 8, the challenger, is a gut type, reactive, assertive, and rejection-based. And type 9, the peacemaker, is a gut type, a withdrawn type, a positive outlook type, and an attachment type. So looking at the blend of these ingredients can really help you to better understand how types are different from each other, and maybe even find your own type or that of others. I hope this video was helpful. I just wanted to put together a summary from other videos that I've made about the Enneagram, and to help you see the big picture and maybe get an idea of how to start thinking about the differences between Enneagram types. I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course I'm going to see you next time with another video on typology. And by the way, for those of you who are interested, I offer self-awareness coaching sessions, so if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description below and it will take you to my website. Thank you very much for being with me, and see you next time with another video on typology.